What's going on, everyone? So this is going to be a video about me being critical on Dreamcastguy being a Sony fanboy and going on his usual, cha-ching video of trying to downplay Xbox again. Talk about Xbox admits they gave up, just buy a PS5. Like, what kind of stupid headline is that? In this video, too, he tries to say that they gave up because Phil's not trying to convince people to buy an Xbox. They've been said this. And what's also interesting too is the misplaced blame. Let me tell you guys something. What people don't understand too is that these ideas that are going on right now is a lot of them are Satya Nadella's ideas of wanting to make the Xbox brand look rich. He said this a while ago, and I'm going to say this at the beginning so people couldn't remember what he said. This was like years ago. He said, when I look at the Xbox brand, I want to see a Microsoft department. Microsoft is rich. When I see the Xbox brand, I don't look at it as rich like the Microsoft department. So I want to do what it takes to make the Xbox brand be rich. It's not Phil Spencer running the show by himself anymore. No, now it's the Sarah Bond individual being placed there by Satya Nadella, and Satya Nadella now running the show. Meaning it's whatever going to get them to make the most money. That's why putting all their games all over the place, they're going to be number one publisher. They're going to be top on content and services and cloud. And that's the future, right? They're way ahead of the future, though it's not like completely everywhere now, but we kind of get that idea. And the route that Microsoft is going is that route. But does that mean that they won't have a next-gen console because of that? Yes, they're going to have that. Could they have the Steam forefront and then have all those games that are coming out on Steam that could be like cross-gen PS5 PC, like, Black Myth Wukong, Phantom Blade Zero, right? And even Sony games are going to be on it. They can get all that. They can make online free, and they can innovate so much on the hardware and have a lot of exclusives next gen because they're just doing that right now. It's not set in stone. And it could end up having a good turnaround if they can sell 45 to 50 to 55 million consoles. That would be really good next gen if they can do that. And I think that's the push that they're going for. So let's try not to set things in stone because the same thing happened when people said that Xbox has no games. What happened now? They have way more games than Sony could ever have. Let's not get all caught up in all that doom and gloom nonsense because this is what he's doing again to make money. And that's why I'm going to criticize him and call him out. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what y'all think. Let's get into this.
Hey there, gamers. Dreamcastguy here. And today we're going to talk about that very controversial interview that just happened last night with Phil Spencer on the Xbox Era podcast. Because the head of Xbox has just straight up said a lot of stuff that people are kind of chewing apart, saying things like, we don't care if you buy an Xbox. We're not trying to win people over to Xbox. We're going to start putting the PlayStation logo into every trailer, whether it is on the Xbox.
Bro, the funny thing about that is that if it's coming there, what's the point of not doing that? They're being more transparent and honest about it. He stated that. Unlike Sony, who wants to put it coming to only PS5, or you think the Xbox Twitter account ended up firing shots at them humorously and putting all those games that they mentioned, basically saying your whole state of play was a major third-party advertisement for your to push your brand. Because you didn't have no games to show. What's your canceled games? You need to get their rainbow cancel balls out of your mouth. So I got to say that, right? Because you're being such a Sony fanboy. And like I said, what Phil's going to do is he's going to push what Satya Nadella wants. And Satya Nadella does a good job at making things very successful. Ever since he's got in the company of Microsoft, they've shot up massively. And they became a $1 trillion company. He knows what he's doing, so his route is going to be successful. Combining him and Phil Spencer's ideologies together, because he knows gaming. Satya's been learning gaming a lot too. It's only going to get better. Just keep watching, because everything Microsoft has done is actually got better besides hardware sales. That's the only thing they need to improve, and that's something they're going to have to do later down the line. So they got back Call of Duty rights now officially too, because Sony doesn't have them anymore after this holiday, so they're desperately trying to look for a Call of Duty replacement. But it was never theirs to begin with, but they had the rights. You see?
YouTube channel or during a Summer Games Fest or E3, we just want you to buy games. Now, to me, I saw this coming. Everybody's been talking about this now for the last half decade. It did seem like at some point Xbox was going to go fully third party, but now that it's finally happening, it's...
And Sony's not third party. They put most of their games on PC. Third party means you're no longer having games only to your ecosystem. Nintendo's the only one that does that. They're both third party. Just admit it. Like this hypocrisy of saying that only Microsoft is the third party. What do you mean? I guarantee you PlayStation games are going to Switch. It's going to make them even more open on the third party bracket. And they're going to be putting more games closer to day and date on PC. Definitely live service games. Remove Helldiver's success on PC last year. You think PlayStation's looking good? Every live service then would have not been. It just would have been a complete total disaster. There was a savior, PC gaming, last year for live service. So what are we talking about here? Tony's been doing third party. Come on with the hypocrisy.
Strange to actually look at the math. Like, just this year, there are more Xbox games coming to PlayStation than there are PlayStation games coming to PlayStation. So let's talk about the quote and kind of the...
And those communities that already got... Like, let's talk about just even Forza Horizon 5, right? It got its fill on Xbox, and it's done. Now you're going to revitalize it on PlayStation. Microsoft's going to be now one of the top publishers in the world consistently every year with Nintendo. They're going to be the top publishers in the world, right? Because they're doing that method. You don't want to talk about Nintendo to put their shit on all the platforms. That would be insane. But that's not the case. But the point is that they're going to be a better publisher than Sony. They're going to be a better software developing and pro-consumer company than Sony, right? You see what I mean? And you're going to be able to play all those games day one still on their ecosystem and on PC and play it at max settings. They're supporting the entire community, and they're making a whole bunch of revenue, and the communities could get more of a revitalization if the communities were not alive, right? Let's say if Master Chief Collection is finally hitting that down spiral, and then you put it on PlayStation and Switch, and all of a sudden it has millions and millions of players. The Halo community is still alive. If you're on Xbox, you still have a bigger community now, and games that people cared about, like maybe even the Gears of War collection or the Gears of War 1 remake that was not having that many people on, is now alive again. And they're making more money and more profit. And their fiscal results look better. The community looks better. They could make more IPs and give them without spending that money. Though Microsoft is, I mean, they have money. But you kind of get what I mean. Like, and on the bigger scene here, it's like Satya Nadella said, now the Xbox brand is looking rich. And that's what he's doing to make sure it does that. I find it funny that people are sitting there like looking at Phil Spencer like he's making all these decisions without understanding behind the scenes. How about you understand how the things work and realize who's running the show here? Instead of trying to just make Phil always the scapegoat. Like, it gets annoying after a while. Like, people trying to blame him for the failure of Xbox. It's like, no, that was Don Matrick that drove it off a cliff at the Xbox One E3 show with the DRM lockdown and all that. That was his idea. That's why they got him out of there. Phil Spencer's trying to do what he can to stir it back. He's made mistakes. Yeah, he's human. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he's done a lot of great things for gaming. And people who don't want to give respect for that are just being haters and only want to just look for something negative to highlight while ignoring all the positives that he's done. It's ridiculous.
Shocked reactions to it because the whole internet is just kind of ripping itself apart about the idea of the head of Xbox just saying, screw Xbox.
See what I mean?
By Xbox games. Let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, the quotes are very, very long, but essentially what he said is that he feels like the bad messaging isn't don't buy an Xbox. He says the problem was that even since June of last year during their incredibly popular Xbox showcase they did, he said, our plan was always to put PlayStation logos in the showcases. We wanted to do it, but the assets weren't done. The timing wasn't fully properly done, but at this point, we just want to make sure there isn't confusion about our products. We want to be fully transparent. If it's coming to Nintendo Switch or Switch 2, we'll just say, hey, put in the trailer, let them buy it. Oh, it's coming to Steam, it's coming to PlayStation. Let people know so they can buy it.
See, that's Satya Nadella's idea, because in his mind, you're going to maximize the profit and revenue, and they're going to pre-order it instantly, and they're going to be on their wish list. So now when Microsoft launches a game, they're trying to look at getting 10 million sales on games now, because those are bigger platforms and bigger ecosystems. See, bigger ecosystems selling on PlayStation, the Switch, PC, and Xbox, massive communities, massive profit. It's business. That's the way they're looking at it now. They're not saying, let's just keep this to our box. Let's sell a few million more Xboxes and not make that extra $400 million. That's not the way Microsoft is thinking. They're thinking business bigger now, because you're trying to see that it's not the gaming perspectives. Look at it. It's Satya Nadella, who's made Microsoft now a $1 trillion company, saying, oh, I can make this really rich. But this is going to be the idea. You might not like this, Phil, and some of the Xbox players might not like this, but watch the Xbox brand be rich when I do it. And watch how much money we're going to make, and then I'm going to be able to fund 10 times more games than you have. and the whole world will be supported by the Xbox brand, and we'll be seen as a more worldwide brand now. Now people are going to see us getting advertised on worldwide consoles because we're not a worldwide manufacturer. When people are not going to buy our consoles in Japan, but when they see the Xbox brand putting all those games everywhere on the consoles that they buy, that'll give us a more worldwide appearance. This is the way his mind is actually thinking. See, I'm telling you how I understand how things are working here. Not necessarily that I would want people not to get mad because they want Xbox to have exclusives and sell more. I understand that. Phil Spencer said the same thing. But when you have sellouts like Dreamcastguy just want to make money off of you, try to spin it that way without telling you the truth, then you'll see it in that certain position. I understand how people feel in the Xbox brand. They wanted Microsoft that finally has all those exclusives to now strengthen the Xbox console so people could support the Xbox console more. But they're not thinking about the console, they're thinking about making the brand more rich and massive. This is the real truth. Right? That's what we do over here. Now,
And even this has people kind of just scratching their heads. The idea of Xbox coming out and saying, buy it on the PlayStation 5 Pro, play the best version of it on PlayStation so you'll have adaptive triggers and stuff. It's just weird about the idea of Xbox advertising a game on PlayStation. In fact, that's what a lot of people in the comments are talking about. 14-year-old me, who was on active duty in the console wars, would not believe it.
We don't live in those times anymore, moron. Get up to date.
Tell me during the PlayStation 3 era that in 18 years this was a thing, and I'd throw my half-drank can of Monster at you. And a lot of people are talking about this. I really want to know what happened internally for them to 180 on this, to go from exclusive initiative to this. How many studios did they buy when somebody at the top of Xbox said, this is too much, we are now third party? And a lot of people are talking about this. Game Pass and spending $80 billion on acquisitions. Game Pass decimated their software sales since they conditioned Xbox players not.
And Netflix decimated Blu-ray sales. Well, should we go back to paying full price for Blu-rays? You have to drive around and do that and stack them all over the place? So most of the world's going to tell you to fuck off. Because 80 to 85% of the world now is digital. And people would rather save money. You're the same type of person that's trying to spend that same narrative as Reforge Gaming, as if people want to pay $70 for every damn game and they can't even afford groceries. You're not looking at the common denominator. You're not looking at the common whole here. And instead, you just want to fit your narrative, feed your base, make money off of it, and not tell people the whole truth and be more humanitarian about the situation. Like that type of stuff, I just can't stand. You're the one being the asshole. So that's why I'm coming after you. Just saying, Game Pass is pro-consumer. Those corporations have plenty of fucking money. They have millions of dollars. They're in the richest company in the world. Microsoft could get paychecks for the sales that Sony make to every goddamn person that comes across to them. Dude, you're full of shit. It's like, shut up with this narrative. I'm getting tired of it. It's played out. Nobody's going to deny Game Pass.
Why would they buy anything when everything is available day one on Game Pass? I do 100% think, and I've talked about this in multiple videos now, that Game Pass has, in a way, kind of shot them in the foot. Because the goal was...
No, it has not. Tell me how Sony has a much bigger base, but Microsoft's operating income was higher than Sony's. Because they made so much money off of Game Pass. Their own service, they're making Sony made 11 billion revenue, but they only took like 7% of it. 93% went to somebody else because that's all their success. They didn't get that because it wasn't their operating income. It was other people's revenue that they're bragging about. Revenue is not the same as the money that you're taking home. They took all of it. Walmart took their chunk. Best Buy took their chunk. AMD took their chunk. Target took their chunk. Costco took their chunk. Amazon took their chunk. And then all the MTX and all that, those developers are taking that. Because you're putting it on PlayStation, we'll give you a small little percentage of it. But how much did they really take? Not even 800 million. Microsoft made more operating income than Sony on the Xbox game division, and supposedly they didn't sell nowhere near. But somehow their services did or made more money. What are you talking about here? Yeah, let's talk some facts here, not some slobbering bullshit.
Was always to have slow, steady growth. You know, constantly getting new subscribers, constantly have extra growth. if the Game Pass numbers were always growing, even 5% a year, 7%, 3%, as long as it kept going up, it was like, okay, we have this snowball that will eventually break to the profitable region. But now they're at a spot where it's like, okay, we spent $100 billion on acquisitions, counting stuff like Activision Blizzard, counting Bethesda, all the.
And they're going to make way more than that over the next 10 years. Plus the quarters they're making from the Microsoft company. You really think this is hurting Microsoft? This is what I don't understand. Why do you think that they would be affected? You can't do much damage to them. They're the richest company in the world. Like, for a reason. Like, it's like, it's absolutely stupid.
These buyouts were good, but none of these have really skyrocketed the Game Pass numbers. Like, consider Call of Duty. Call of Duty went day one to Game Pass. They increased the price of Game Pass. Nobody did. Everybody was like, I'll still just buy it. And
you can still get it on discounts on Amazon and other websites. And Call of Duty broke records. Just like Avowed broke records and had, 242,000 people on Twitch in early access. Keep on saying Game Pass is hurting sales, yet it's not happening. Spend some more garbage. Because if people want to buy a game, they're going to buy it. If they don't want the service, they won't sign up for it. Simple. People are still making the choices that they're making. Call of Duty is still going to sell. That's why they're putting it on other platforms and not worrying about it just being on Game Pass. Because by putting it on other platforms and then now putting it on the Switch, you're still going to sell so much. It's still going to break records. At the end of the day, it's kind of hard for you to try to spend that negative when it's not happening negatively.
I think this is when the people at the top of Xbox, including Phil Spencer, just said, all right, we have to sell these games. We have to sell these games. Game Pass is not working. We'd rather get $70 from someplace else. In fact, he straight up said this. Okay, we're not trying to move PlayStation. This is psycho. I'm sorry. Phil Spencer, we're not trying to move PlayStation and Nintendo players over to Xbox anymore. That is so defeated. It sounds so bizarre that it's.
That's the way you're saying it. What he's saying is that we're trying to make more money. Because like I said, this is Satya Nadella's idea. We're trying to make more money off of other platforms and make the Xbox brand look rich. Not console, but the brand. I've already explained this. Now, when they launch next gen Xbox, remember I said this in this video, y'all. Watch what happens. Watch how things turn differently. They're going to make the profit that they need to make doing all this. They'll get back even more money than Activision spent. As a matter of fact, that's nothing. You know what I mean? But just watch their plan in the long term. Wait till there's no more consoles in the world either when you really realize what's really important. The only people that need to be worried right now are Sony. Because they ride straight off of third party. But when you have to promote your own service and what you're providing for the world, Nintendo was already at the top. We know that. Microsoft already put themselves in a good position because the future is digital stream clouding. Turning on a TV one day and then having a controller and choosing which service you want to play. And everything being on PC too. Or just, on whatever. But you guys get the idea, right? Like they're too stuck in the old days, like in 2007, 2008. That's not the future. They're getting ahead.
It's an actual quote. Let's just allow more people to play games. And yes, the 70% we make on games on other platforms is helpful.
That's what I'm saying. They're thinking about the 70% on Nintendo and PlayStation rather than just stay locked in the Xbox ecosystem. We're only making this much money. It's not going to be sustainable.
Us. Now, people have been thinking about this a lot, which is that whenever you sell a game on another platform, if you take something and you put it on Xbox or PlayStation or Steam or Nintendo, when it sells, the platform holder takes a 30% cut. So, Avowed, currently it's an Xbox exclusive. It's probably coming to PlayStation at one point. If you bought the $100 special edition of that on PlayStation, they would get $70 for it. PlayStation gets $30. And they're like, we would rather have that money than not have that money. Now, I've noticed people making these things as this. Colin Moriarty just published this 25-minute video, literally right as I started filming this, and I watched part of this, and it's really
somebody who's trying to act like they're smart, but it's like at the end of the day, you're still overlooking business. It's business. What do you think business is about? More of these companies now, these corporations now, and these leaders, even in the PlayStation side now, they're more about business now than hardware locked exclusives. The only individuals that can do that now are Nintendo. PlayStation can't do it. Definitely after those canceled games. They have to find a way to make that money. When I tell you record-breaking profit for revenue, that's for other people's money that made on their console, but they're not getting that. They didn't even get 10%. This guy's a dumbass. He doesn't get it. So how is Sony going to make more money? Not revenue, but operating income, operating profit. They want to do a better job with that because they realize the future is eventually it's going to come down to when there's no more consoles, we can't sell 100 million consoles anymore. We can't write off a third party. How are we as a Sony brand, if somebody looks at our service like Netflix, going to want our IPs and stuff? We need to strengthen that and get more stronger in-house. The future. There's going to be in-house competition.
Great. And it's basically just about how Xbox's plan was always to buy their way to the top, to own the most studios, the most talented developers, people like Obsidian, and basically go, okay, how much can we spend to see active growth? If we buy 10 studios, do our sales go up 10%? If we buy 20 studios, do our sales go up 40%? And they realized, oh man, it's not working. The buys, the acquisitions, the talent that we have.
What do you mean it's not working? Look at what they're about to do with it. It's how you use it.
Isn't really reflecting itself in numbers. We're still just going deeper and deeper in the red. Xbox is now a third-party publisher, the biggest on PlayStation. Still bizarre to think about. Xbox is selling more games on PlayStation than PlayStation. What a timeline.
Yeah, let's not criticize Sony. Be like, Sony doesn't have enough games to combat that and say, yeah, try to compete with the games we have on PlayStation. Let's not say anything about PlayStation. You see, this is how you could tell this guy's a pony. Because he's not criticizing Sony for not having any games, about the state of play, about the failed live, nothing. Just only spend this negative aspect on Xbox because he has a following that wants to see that so he can make money off of them.
How did this happen? It's simple. Microsoft flew too soon to the sun. Buying Activision Blizzard destroyed its exclusives ecosystem. Now it'll rely on Sony to drive future revenue forevermore. Crazy stuff. And
oh, you trying to do the Icarus flew too close to the sun and got his wings burnt off?
He makes the analogy of Icarus, making the wax wings and flying too close to the sun. And I think this is a great analogy. Obviously, Colin Moriarty is a very well-spoken,
But this is what I mean. You think the Microsoft company is crashing? You think you could say Microsoft exit out the industry? You're broke? You're Sega? Another stupid narrative. The richest company in the world, you moron. They're not going to crash. Are you going to crash them? Even if they were selling 10 million, 15 million, they can still consistently make it into the 50s if they wanted to. And they're not going to lose any money. They're going to make so much money as a company, you can never have them go bankrupt, not even close. I don't understand why this is so hard to understand. Like, you don't have to be that intelligent to at least understand that construct. But they're trying to make it seem like they're suffering. Like, they're not really in reality. It's a bunch of bullshit. You should be more concerned about people than you should about these damn companies. So you're leeching off the people to make it seem like Microsoft is doing terrible. But really, the people need to be supported more. They're the ones that can't afford groceries. So Game Pass is actually beneficial to them. That's why they like Game Pass on PC, on mobile, and on Xbox. Because the Xbox brand is everywhere. That's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, I'm not buying it.
Well-written individual. And I do think that this is the thing now, is that Xbox has hit a point where they just need to get at least good enough that they're not closing down studios, that they're not...
They don't have to close down anything. They're only doing that if they want to. I can promise you that on everything. The whole industry's doing that. You should be looking at Sony, who's closing down studios. Who closed down Sony Japan and now wants to try to go back Japan now? Closing down the Concord nonsense, closing down more layoffs in California. Right? You should be worried about Ubisoft closing down. Shouldn't be worried about Microsoft because they it's not going to affect them like they're going to shut down because of that. This is what I mean. It's like you're highlighting the worst company to do this for.
Mass firing people or not even selling stuff. Even if they did take a studio and start
just
selling
elite
to somebody
world.
else, I think they're at a point where Xbox Game Studios is like, okay, we have a lot of stuff that's 90% done. We're about to be doing the advertising. We don't want to just sell 1% on Game Pass. We want 99% everywhere else. Oh, God. It was a great run for Xbox. At least the Xbox 360 was amazing. Excellent idea. Some clarity to make what are becoming financial choices.
Talk about a pony comment section.
Is welcome. Well, as long as it's consumer friendly, we have no complaints. It's interesting
Consumer friendly.
that a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, a lot of people are making cuck memes as well, but it's interesting that stuff like this. So, like any other third-party publisher, at least he's saying it now, rather than trying to take the band-aid off slowly. This will still praise Xbox while Microsoft gaming goes forward. Will include timed exclusive from their stable of studios, new and old. Now, this is what I saw people kind of kicking around about 3 months back, which is the idea that the reason that Xbox was putting only old games onto PlayStation was to get you hooked. I'm not going to claim a lot of people are saying this, but it was something I saw kind of going around.
Yeah, you're testing the waters. And he said there's no red line because that means not all games, but there's no line on which game we want to select. It's going to make us be better as a publisher and as a developer. But we're still going to have exclusives. Phil Spencer said there's still going to be exclusives going forward, and they're going to innovate more in the hardware. So there could be a hardware dip as next gen, have the exclusives, have a stronger hardware push next gen, and get those Steam hybrid OEM models going so that you could have PlayStation games, PC games that are only PC, PS5, and have free online. Watch when they do that. Watch them do well. They could always make turnarounds. That's the only thing they need to improve now is just the hardware attraction. That's it. Everything else is better. It is. So that's my thing about this. The rest of this video is just him slobbering about other stuff. Let me know what y'all think. But my thing is that like that this played out narrative gets on my nerves. So that's why I'm coming to highlight him, and I got to do it. So, like I said, let me know what y'all think, and if I'm wrong, let me know, please, because I don't feel wrong at all. I don't see it that way. This type of stuff gets played out. You need to be talking about other people that are in trouble. Sony is in way more trouble than Microsoft because they have to succeed in the gaming department to be sustainable. Microsoft does not. That's the difference. This is the truth. I like to be realistic here. All right, y'all. Peace out.